Decaying Eminence, Naywick Arc, Chapter 1, The Weight of Smoke. The air tasted like ash and burnt hair. That's how everyone knew Moto was fighting. He darted through the sparring ring, leaving a trail of acrid smoke to blind his opponent. The booming of his classmates was a familiar sound, but he ignored it, focusing on the silhouette moving within the haze. "You can do it, Moto!" a thin voice cut through. He glanced at Seiyu, his one friend, who nervously cheered him on. Moto smiled at her and jumped back into the fray, lunging at the figure. His opponent, the new kid, Najo, stood his ground. "I'm not about to lose to someone with such gross powers," Najo thought. "But at least I can use his smoke to conceal my own." As Moto got closer, he heard a faint, sharp buzz. The next thing he knew, a brutal force connected with his chest, feeling less like a punch and more like a lightning strike. He was blasted clear out of the smoke cloud, skidding across the mat. "Winner!" the teacher called, confirming Najo's victory. The students cheered for the new kid. Moto punched the ground, the taste of soot and defeat bitter in his mouth. "At this rate, no, stay positive." He got up and shook Najo's hand. "Next match, Seiyu versus Drake." Seiyu's posture wilted. Her opponent, her cousin Drake, strolled onto the mat with an arrogant smirk. "I should be at an elite academy," Drake announced to the crowd. "Not wasting my time here." The match was over before it began. Drake stomped his foot, and the ground beneath Seiyu vibrated violently, sending her off balance. She stumbled, too nervous to use her wind powers against her cousin, and tapped the mat in submission. Later, Moto walked Seiyu home, the silence heavy. "She didn't think you'd lose," Seiyu said finally. "Me neither." Moto rubbed his chest. "Something about his punch was weird. It felt like lightning struck me." "Excuses," Seiyu said, though a small smile touched her lips. "You're one to talk." At her door, Seiyu's father greeted them, his eyes kind. "Moto, you look exhausted. We have a spare room for the night." Moto shook his head, shifting his worn backpack. "Thank you, sir, but luxuries are distractions." Seiyu's father chuckled. "More wisdom from your brother?" Moto just nodded proudly. "Well, I knew you'd say that," he said, handing Moto a warm parcel. "Here's your supper then." Moto didn't go to a house. He went to an alley. It wasn't a home, it was a training ground. He unwrapped the parcel, warm rice and fish, and ate quickly. Finished, he stood in the center of the alley, closed his eyes, and exhaled. A cloud of choking, greasy smoke flooded the space. Rats and hordes of insects poured from cracks in the brickwork, fleeing the acrid smog. From her window, Seiyu watched him, her expression a mix of worry and admiration. Moto began his katas. He trained until his muscles burned, and the soot from his own power stained his clothes and skin. He trained until the frustration from his loss was hammered into exhaustion. Finally, he leapt to the flat roof of the adjoining building, his pillow and thin blanket stashed there. He lay back, staring at the pinpricks of stars against the dark sky.
"Lost today. But don't worry, Amber. I will get stronger. Strong enough to protect you from what's coming."
He would not fail her, not like this. The next day, Moto was relentless. He had to know what that punch was. "Arm wrestle me," Moto demanded at Najo's desk, slamming his arm down. Najo ignored him, annoyed, and walked away. As he passed, he glanced at Seiyu, who was standing behind Moto, and his pace quickened. Moto noticed and grinned. He pestered Najo for days. "You got a lucky shot on me," Moto insisted, "but there's no way you're stronger." Finally, Najo snapped. "Fine." They sat at the cafeteria table, hands clasped. The match began. Moto pushed, his muscles straining. He was winning, forcing Najo's knuckles down. Just as Moto was about to slam his hand flat, Najo's eyes darted nervously towards Seiyu. Zizzit! A sharp crackle, and a brilliant blue spark of lightning erupted from his arm. The shock sent Moto flying backwards off the bench. The cafeteria went silent. Everyone stared. A lightning user. Here, in a low-level school. Najo froze, his secret exposed. As whispers turned to shouts, he grabbed his bag and ran. That night, word reached the Lightning Village. In a vast empty hall, a tall man sat alone at a long dinner table. He listened to the report from his spies, his face shadowed. He picked up his fork, coated it in his own crackling lightning, and grilled the rare beef on his plate. "This boy, Najo," Nawick said, his voice dangerously low. "Bring him to me. I will assess him myself." Back in Niika, Moto nursed his stunned arm, a slow grin spreading across his face. He didn't know who Najo was or why he was hiding. He only knew one thing. That was the power he needed to overcome. He would make him his friend, oblivious to the storm he was about to walk into.